The failure of quantum manifestation for most people does not come from its complexity, but from its deceptive simplicity. We are born and raised in a culture that equates value with labor, reward with sacrifice, and achievement with struggle. From an early age, society has instilled the belief that anything worthwhile must demand hardship, that success requires pain, that love must be chaste, and that abundance can only be earned. Because of this conditioning, when we encounter a process that functions through ease rather than struggle, our entire being instinctively resists it. Quantum manifestation defies this programming by operating on principles that oppose everything we have been taught about how reality is supposed to work. Where traditional thought insists on force, quantum reality shows that resistance dissolves flow. Where conventional wisdom commands us to push harder, quantum mechanics invites us to align more deeply. This is not simply a difference in philosophy, but a profound misunderstanding of how consciousness interacts with the quantum field. The paradox lies in the fact that the simpler a truth is, the more fiercely the conditioned ego rises against it. The mind has been trained to measure worth through complexity, through struggle, through the narrative that difficulty equals significance. Therefore, when one realizes that manifestation arises from effortless coherence rather than deliberate effort, doubt immediately sets in. A voice whispers, "If it were truly this easy, everyone would be doing it." That doubt becomes the trap. Instead of allowing manifestation as a natural state of being, people try to turn it into a technique. They design methods where none are necessary, construct elaborate systems where only frequency matters, and impose rigid practices where presence alone suffices. Yet the universe is not responding to our lists of spiritual tasks. It is reflecting our vibrational essence. The common teaching that desire combined with action brings manifestation is incomplete. Quantum physics reveals a different reality. Manifestation arises from certainty, not craving. The instant you begin to need an outcome, you step out of alignment with the frequency that allows it to exist. The universe does not test commitment. It mirrors energy. The more doubt, contradiction, and conflict you hold within, the more fragmented your energetic signal becomes, and a scattered signal cannot collapse into a coherent outcome. Complexity in manifestation, rather than being a sign of spiritual depth, often indicates fragmentation. Quantum mechanics points to coherence, a state where different parts harmonize and amplify each other's influence. When particles achieve coherence, even minimal effort produces immense results. Human consciousness functions in the same way. When thoughts, emotions, and expectations converge in harmony, you become a precise signal capable of shaping reality without struggle or manipulation. Coherence arises from clarity. And clarity emerges only when you let go of the noise of the mind, the weight of emotional static, and the unconscious addiction to struggle. This resistance to ease is not a personal fault, but a long-standing conditioning. You were taught that safety comes through control, that outcomes require effort, that self-worth must be earned. Yet, some of your life's most transformative moments did not come through force. You did not strategize the meeting that changed your destiny. You did not plan the opportunity that redirected your path. You did not demand the insight that altered your perspective, it simply arrived. In those moments, you were open, receptive, resonant with possibility, and reality responded. These were not coincidences. They were glimpses of quantum alignment already moving through your life. Before anything else, you must release the belief that hardship is the only doorway to depth. Let me be absolutely clear. This is not about passivity, nor is it about escaping from responsibility or action. It is about setting your energy into alignment before you set your body into motion. It is about shifting from the push of momentum to the pull of magnetism. Manifestation is not defined by what you do. Manifestation is defined by what you become. You do not draw in the things you endlessly chase. You draw in what you allow yourself to embody. And embodiment only happens when you give yourself permission to be what you seek without effort, without grasping. So, here lies the decisive question. What if ease was never the adversary of achievement? What if the simplicity of quantum manifestation is not a shortcut or trick of spirituality, but the true framework by which consciousness builds reality? What if the only wall between you and your breakthrough is the refusal to believe? It could be that simple. Remain with me, here, because we are about to uncover how this invisible resistance to simplicity is constructed inside your awareness and how it can finally be released. Not by doubling your effort, but by surrendering to alignment. This is not a surface-level shift in perspective. This is a shift in frequency itself, and it is already happening. So let us anchor one vital truth. Simplicity in quantum creation is not equal to idleness. It is not bypassing the demands of spirit. It is not indulging in fantasy. Nor is it waiting passively for miracles to appear. Simplicity is accuracy. It is the disciplined mastery of energy. Above all, it is the natural outcome of deep resonance with the frequency of the world you wish to inhabit. Within the language of quantum mechanics, simplicity is coherence, and coherence is the foundation of every form of potent creation. Classical physics told us that force brings about results, add more pressure, accelerate with greater speed, exert more power. That became the template of survival ingrained in us. Yet, in the quantum realm, the rules are utterly different. Energy moves only along the path of least resistance. Pause for a moment and let that truth sink in. Energy is not drawn to the most difficult climb. It does not glorify struggle or revere exhaustion. It seeks openings and flows through them with grace, velocity, and elegance. This reveals that in quantum reality, piling on effort often creates more resistance. Relaxing into alignment, however, produces flow. Consider how often you complicate your own desires. You picture what you long for, and within seconds your mind tangles it in doubt and complexity. How could this appear? What if I am not ready? What if the process takes far too long? That is not clarity. That is interference. It is static, disrupting the clean signal. And what is it that the quantum field responds to? Only pure frequency. Frequency cannot exist in chaos. It must be coherent. If this realization is beginning to stir something within you, pause and notice. You are entering into a frequency that is shifting our very comprehension of reality. Simplicity is not the absence of wisdom. It is the discipline of focus. It is the moment when you stop doubting whether your desire can manifest and you begin to live from the reality where it already has. As quantum science teaches, coherence arises when all aspects of a system vibrate together in harmony. One frequency, one rhythm, one intention, without contradiction, without inner division. When your thoughts, emotions, and expectations move together in unison, your entire being turns into a powerful magnetic field, and the universe has no choice but to reflect that signal back to you. Yet, most people live in a state of fragmentation. They speak one message, feel another emotion, and hold expectations that contradict both. This is not alignment. This is incoherence. And it is exactly why simplicity carries so much power. It strips away contradiction and restores clarity. By simplifying your manifestation practice, you remove the interference. You stop obsessing over the mechanics, you stop questioning whether you deserve it, and you release the constant need to analyze every detail. Instead, you focus only on the essential. What do I choose, and who do I become to align with that choice? Everything beyond that becomes noise, and noise keeps you vibrating in confusion, holding your desires at a distance. Imagine tuning an old radio. You turn the dial carefully. Static buzzing in your ears. Voices breaking in and out, never steady. Then suddenly, clarity arrives. The music plays sharp and strong. That moment of clarity mirrors what happens when your inner state finds coherence. That is the true feeling of simplicity. The broadcast was always there. The only task was to adjust your frequency until you matched it. In quantum manifestation, the broadcast is your desired reality, and the tuning dial is your vibration. But for the signal to come through, simplicity requires trust. Trust means letting go of your obsession with control. You are not meant to manage every detail of the unfolding. You are meant to refine your signal. The truth is, most of your desires are already seeking you. They are already alive, pulsing, resonating within the field. But the complexity you create your tendency to force, to overthink, to micromanage, builds resistance. It becomes a wall between you and what is already yours. Simplicity does not mean weakness. It is mastery. So, how do you step into this mastery? You begin with stillness. You allow yourself to stop chasing. You permit your nervous system to rest in safety without endless movement. Then, you choose the version of yourself that already has the desire not as imagination, but as your identity. You speak as them, you move as them, you decide from their frequency. You embody that version completely in this very moment, and when you do, the universe governed by quantum resonance has no choice but to respond. Keep this truth close. Complexity is always the echo of doubt, while simplicity is the sound of trust. The more you insist it must be difficult, the more difficulty you create. But once you recognize that energy naturally flows where alignment is present, everything changes. You stop doing more and start being more. You shift into allowing, into receiving, and you realize the universe was never holding anything back. It was only waiting for your signal to clear. This is where we go deeper, because the next step is uncovering how your mind, conditioned by fear and survival programming, introduces friction that blocks your natural capacity to manifest. And with just one internal shift, you can release that friction and step into your greatest expansion. This goes beyond mindset. This is quantum simplicity in motion. In quantum physics, there is a principle that reshapes how we view manifestation coherence. Coherence is the state where all particles, waves, and systems align in harmony, not as fragmented pieces, but as one unified whole. When coherence takes form, energy becomes concentrated, powerful, and precisely directed. It no longer scatters across random pathways. It no longer fades into static noise. Instead, it produces outcomes that are consistent, reliable, and profoundly potent. This is the very principle that makes manifestation feel effortless. Not because you are passive, but because your energy is finally aligned as one unified force. Let's look more closely. Imagine particles inside a chaotic system, each one vibrating in random directions, colliding without order, dispersing energy everywhere. That is incoherence, noisy, wasteful, and unfocused. Now, imagine those same particles suddenly moving together, synchronized, harmonized under one rhythm. What happens then? The energy multiplies. The system organizes itself with clarity. The outcome becomes not only predictable, but immensely powerful. This is exactly what occurs within your consciousness once you establish internal coherence. Your thoughts, emotions, and physical body vibrate together as a single, unified field. Think back for a moment. Can you recall a time in your life when everything flowed with ease, when you weren't forcing, but things fell perfectly into place? Those moments are hints, clues pointing toward your natural, coherent state. Yet here lies the challenge. Most people live almost entirely in incoherence. They think they desire prosperity, love, or peace, but their emotions radiate fear, doubt, and limitation. And their actions fall into step with those feelings. They declare, "I believe in abundance," while anxiously worrying about money. They insist, "I trust the process," while constantly checking for proof that it is working. This is not alignment. This is conflict within the energetic field. And here's the truth. The quantum field does not respond to words. It responds to resonance. It does not listen to your declarations. It mirrors your state of being. The real insight is this. Your manifestation is not stalled because you are doing too little. It is stalled because your signal is fractured. You are sending out mixed frequencies into a field that only recognizes coherence. To the field, your energy says, I want, but I doubt. I hope, but I feel unworthy. I ask, but I do not allow. This is why manifestation often feels difficult. Incoherence creates a distorted signal, weakening your vibrational field and diluting your power to call forth a specific outcome. But the moment you simplify, everything changes. Simplicity here means internal agreement. It means you choose one frequency and hold it. It means your inner world stops arguing with itself. Your thoughts become steady. Your emotions soften into clarity. Your body no longer runs on survival mode. Together, this trinity, mind, heart, body, becomes a coherent field, and coherence always generates response. Not someday, not eventually, but immediately, because reality can no longer resist alignment. This is the science behind why less is truly more. It is not that you are doing fewer things. It is that every expression of your energy becomes deliberate, accurate, and powerful. You no longer take 5 steps forward and slide 4 steps back. You no longer lose energy to mental loops, emotional storms, or physical exhaustion. Life begins to feel elegant, efficient, and aligned. You stop trying to manifest and you begin to embody the manifestation itself. And the instant you embody it fully, the quantum field mirrors that embodiment with astonishing speed and precision. What we have touched on today, coherence and quantum simplicity, is only the doorway into a far deeper understanding of how consciousness creates reality. If you feel this shift stirring inside you, if these truths are resonating beyond intellect and into experience, then you may already be ready for what I call the full frequency transmission. The 9 master frequencies represent the bridge between merely trying to manifest and naturally broadcasting your reality into existence. I've outlined this entire process inside, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum roadmap to mastering consciousness, where the journey moves from unconscious transmissions to becoming the conscious broadcast itself. You can find the link in the pinned comment below. But let's dive even deeper. Within neuroscience, coherence is also applied to brainwave patterns. When the brain operates in high beta stress overthinking survival, the waves scatter chaotically. Yet when you shift into alpha or theta, relaxation, visualization, intuition, the brain waves align, synchronize, and move together. Scientific research confirms that this synchronization strengthens your influence over the subconscious mind, which functions as the very doorway to quantum reality. Put another way, coherence is not just a lofty spiritual principle. It is a measurable neurological condition. And this is where scientific insight merges with timeless spiritual truth. The moment you stop overexerting and begin aligning, your body receives the message that it is safe. The nervous system recalibrates. Heart rate steadies. Stress hormones like cortisol lower. The immune system fortifies. Intuition heightens. You slip into a physiological state of allowing. In this state of coherence, you become a living portal for quantum creation. You are no longer forcing your future. You are permitting your timeline to synchronize with the identity you have already become. From here, it becomes clear that simplicity does not mean doing less while hoping for miracles. It means stepping fully into energetic congruence. It means embodying a clean, unwavering signal, one the quantum field has no choice but to recognize. And once you achieve that state, once every layer of your being affirms one timeline, collapse happens instantly, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because the quantum field is not restrained by linear time, it responds only to vibration, and the instant your vibration becomes coherent, it becomes law. In our next exploration, I will show you how to bring this into daily practice, not through strain, but through frequency. You'll learn to access the precise emotional and mental states that generate coherence in real time and use them as levers to redirect your entire reality. This is the place where simplicity evolves into true power. Let me give you something rare in the crowded world of manifestation advice: simplicity that actually delivers. Not lofty ideals, not motivational slogans, but a framework built upon quantum principles and grounded in lived application. Because if there is one lesson so far, it's this: complexity is not power. Clarity is power. Here, I want to share a 3-part alignment framework. Not a rigid system of steps, but an energetic upgrade you can embody daily. These shifts recalibrate your relationship with desire, with timing, with trust. That recalibration is what lifts manifestation from theory into direct physical experience. The first shift is choosing clarity over control. Simple in appearance, yet immense in power. Most people are addicted to control, especially those on spiritual paths. They claim to trust, yet secretly they micromanage the timeline. They wonder, what should I do next? Was that the right sign? Should I visualize more? That energy communicates chaos to the quantum field. It feels like noise. It feels like contradiction. But when you become clear on what you want, and more importantly why you want it, you emit a clean magnetic signal. Quantum reality doesn't require endless managing. It requires coherence. Once you've made your choice, once you've spoken your request, stop adjusting. Stop rewriting. Stop trying to control. Allow it to be. The second shift is to release your attachment to timing. If you've ever said, "I need this by Friday," then congratulations. You've just stepped outside of quantum reality. The quantum field doesn't run on calendars. It runs on frequencies. And frequency is timeless. Consider this: when you are truly aligned with something, do you feel desperate to rush its timing? No, you trust in its arrival. You know it is already yours. Urgency is nothing more than scarcity in disguise. It creates stress pressure and tunnel vision, each of which pushes your desired outcome further away. But when you release the when and focus on the who, the person you are becoming in the process, you collapse time itself. Because from the perspective of quantum law, readiness is the only condition manifestation requires. Readiness has never been about dates on a calendar. It is, at its core, about coherence. And the third shift, perhaps the most transformative of all, is learning to trust your initial alignment. That very first instant, when the desire lit up inside your chest, when you felt the spark and whispered yes, that was already complete. In that moment, the transmission was sent. The field registered it. The energetic code was activated. Yet, what do most people tend to do next? They repeat it over and over. They write it down, obsessively, speak affirmations endlessly, visualize it again and again. Not from alignment, but from fear. Fear it wasn't heard. Fear it wasn't enough. Here lies the paradox. Every time you repeat what has already been transmitted, you're signaling to the field that you don't trust the original message was received. That lack of trust weakens the frequency. It is like sending a clear radio signal and then interrupting it every few minutes asking, "Did you get that? Are you sure?" That's not coherence, that's resistance. So what if just for today you allowed manifestation to be effortless? What if you released the rituals born of fear and rested instead in the vibration of knowing? Because quantum simplicity is not laziness, it is refinement. It is elegance. It is mastery of energy. The more you return to that first alignment, to the original signal in its pure, undiluted form, the stronger it amplifies. Momentum does not come from effort. Momentum emerges from the purity of frequency. Yes, this idea contradicts almost everything we've been taught. We've been conditioned to believe repetition equals discipline, that practice brings perfection, that asking repeatedly proves devotion. We've been told that if we stop asking, perhaps the universe will forget us. But in the quantum model of reality, one request made in absolute alignment carries more power than 1,000 requests made in uncertainty. This isn't blind faith. This is quantum law. The observer collapses outcomes based on the quality of observation. When that observation is clear-aligned, an uninterrupted reality has no choice but to respond. So let's break the cycle today. Let's make a declaration together that we are stepping out of complication and into flow. If this is landing not only in your mind but also in your body, as a felt experience, anchor it right now by writing this phrase, I allow it to be effortless. This is not a casual affirmation. It is a command. It is a vibrational decision. It is a moment of coherence strong enough to reprogram your field. And when you commit to this, when you release the urge to manage every step of the process, something extraordinary opens. You stop broadcasting the energy of struggle. You begin radiating the frequency of trust. At that point, you embody a deeper truth. Quantum reality was never waiting for you to work harder. It was waiting for you to remember. You don't manifest by force, you manifest by becoming. And here's where the paradox reveals itself. The timeline you're reaching for already exists. Not because destiny was written, but because the moment your desire was born, it became real in the quantum field, vibrating as a possibility. Quantum manifestation is not about creating from nothing. It is about tuning in. The station is already broadcasting. You are not inventing it, you are aligning with it. And that perhaps is the most fascinating discovery of all. You've already touched that reality before more than once. You've lived moments of piercing clarity, flashes of intuition, synchronicities so precise they felt impossible to dismiss as coincidence. Those moments weren't accidents. They were evidence of quantum alignment. Yet, the instant your mind intervened and whispered, "This can't be this simple," the connection dissolved. You slipped back into old programming. You brushed aside the flow as chance and the field like a mirror returned your uncertainty in perfect reflection. But simplicity is not the barrier. Simplicity is the portal. The mind craves methods and procedures. Quantum reality only asks for permission. The universe doesn't need you to map every step. It needs your coherence. When you finally allow things to feel effortless, light, and natural, you're not settling for less or evading growth. You are stepping into the frequency where your highest self already resides. From that place, alignment is automatic. Let's bring this into sharper focus. You're not chasing a future. You're remembering it. You're reuniting with a self who already chose, who already expanded, who already integrated the wisdom. That's what shifting timelines truly means. It's not about forcing something new into being, it's about synchronizing your energy with what is already real. This is not wishful fantasy. It is the foundation of quantum reality. All timelines exist at once in the field. You don't have to construct the one you want. You only have to stop resisting it. And what is resistance really? It is the inner story repeating. This is too good to be true. It's the echo of conditioning. It's the inherited belief that worth must be earned through exhaustion and suffering. But here is the unshakable truth. Your worth has never been conditional. Your value is not calculated by labor or sacrifice. The moment you release the story that says pain is required, you step into the timeline that reflects your inherent power. Each time you lean into simplicity, each time you affirm, I allow myself to receive with ease, you ascend closer to the vibration of your highest self. And that self does not chase, does not beg, does not doubt. That self simply exists in resonance, in flow, in certainty. In that state, manifestation is not something you attempt. It is something you embody. This is the real heart of quantum manifestation. Not a mystical shortcut. Not a trick of energy manipulation. It is remembrance. It is returning to resonance with the version of you who already carries what you desire. Saying yes to simplicity is saying yes to that version. And when your frequency says yes, the universe responds instantly with its echo. Still, here's what most teachings overlook: for manifestation to stabilize your nervous system must feel safe. If your body is locked in survival mode, if your system is dysregulated, if you are stuck in fight-or-flight patterns, coherence cannot emerge. And without coherence, quantum creation cannot anchor. This is why so many people struggle. They attempt to manifest through stress urgency and fear-based timelines. But true manifestation only flows when the nervous system is regulated, when the heart is open, when the mind is clear. Stillness, then, is not passivity. Stillness is power. In stillness, your system recalibrates. Coherence rises on its own. So, pause here with me. Feel it in your body. Recognize that the path you are walking is not new, it is remembered. You are not lost. You are rediscovering the coordinates of your soul's frequency. You are not beginning from nothing. You are simply aligning with what was always yours. This is how the cycle breaks. Not by doing more, but by becoming quieter, clearer, and truer. If this recognition is landing within you deeper than words, let your next breath carry it. Let that breath become your signal. Consider this your permission slip from the quantum field not to struggle harder, but to finally surrender, and let yourself flow. If you feel ready to embody this shift, anchor it by writing your intention right now. You see, remembering is the essence of this journey. It isn't about chasing knowledge or endlessly striving for answers. It's about recalling what you already are, letting that memory rise to the surface of consciousness. Each time you do, the universe reorganizes itself around your frequency. You'll begin to notice subtle signs. You'll sense the shift, and the waiting will dissolve once you realize that what you thought was future has already arrived. Yet, there remains a crucial insight. One more piece of the puzzle that reveals the real foundation of manifestation. What we call manifestation is merely the outward result of something far deeper, a process unfolding at the quantum level of existence. Most people are unaware of a hidden layer that completely reframes this phenomenon. Once you grasp it, you begin to understand why some individuals manifest results instantly, while others spend years in frustration. It explains why certain desires flow toward you naturally, while others feel painfully out of reach. More importantly, it uncovers the gateway to what I call quantum flow states, conditions of consciousness, where manifesting becomes as natural and effortless as breathing itself. This unseen layer is known in quantum physics as field entanglement. At the most fundamental level, reality is an interconnected web bound by what Einstein described as spooky action at a distance. When two particles become entangled, they remain linked beyond the constraints of space and time. A change in one particle instantly influences the other not through any conventional force but through a mysterious connection transcending physical separation. Applied to your own life, this means you are already entangled with the desires you hold. The moment a wish arises in your mind, it forges an immediate connection in the field. Your desire and its fulfillment are not distant. They are two aspects of the same unified reality. But here lies the common misunderstanding. Most people treat their desires as something external, something apart from themselves. They say, "I want that thing over there," reinforcing the illusion of separation. In quantum reality, however, no such division exists. Consciousness expresses itself both as the one who desires and as the desired itself. This explains why forcing rarely produces results. Forcing assumes you and your desire are separate entities that must be joined by effort. Alignment, on the other hand, is recognition that you and your desire are already one. The task is simply to allow your conscious awareness to catch up to what is already true at the quantum level. Think of a time when you had a sudden intuition. Perhaps you thought of someone moments before they called, or you felt a nudge to change your route and stumbled upon an unexpected opportunity. In these instances, you weren't forcing events. You were attuned to quantum information already available naturally, accessing your entanglement with the field of possibilities. That is the essence of quantum manifestation, learning to consciously engage with information that already exists. It is not about inventing a new reality, but about recognizing what is present at the quantum layer and allowing it to crystallize into physical form. The factor that determines whether you access this field smoothly or remain cut off is your emotional state. When you dwell in fear, doubt, or desperation, physicists call this decoherence. You disconnect from the field. But when you rest in love, gratitude, excitement, or inner peace, you enter coherence. In coherence, you become harmonized with the quantum field and effortlessly tune into its information. This is why so many teachers emphasize the importance of feeling good first. It's more than motivational advice, it's physics. Your emotions are the tuning fork that sets your vibration, and through that vibration you align with the infinite potentials already waiting for you. Your emotional state is the gateway through which you connect to quantum reality. When you're in harmony, you naturally align with the field. When you're weighed down by negativity, you drift out of connection. Yet here lies the deeper truth that so many teachings overlook. You don't need to fabricate positivity or force yourself into joy. You don't have to pretend to be happy or push yourself into an artificial state of calm. What matters is simply removing what blocks your natural alignment. At your core, your essence is already peace, already love, already joy. These aren't states you must create. They are what remain when you stop interfering with yourself. The moment you quiet the endless mental chatter, soften the emotional resistance, and release the tension stored in your body, coherence arises effortlessly. That natural alignment doesn't have to be built. It surfaces the instant you stop disrupting it. So pause and ask yourself, which pattern, belief, or habit are you finally ready to release in order to step into that natural coherence? Naming what no longer serves you is often the first key to setting it free. This is why stillness holds such profound power in the manifestation process. Stillness doesn't generate new realities. Stillness clears the interference so that you can perceive what has been present all along. In that silence, the static dissolves. In that spaciousness, clarity returns. And in that quiet presence, your intrinsic entanglement with your desires is revealed. From here, everything changes. Instead of straining to manifest a new outcome, try something radically simple. Begin with the assumption that at the quantum level, it is already done. Your role is not to push, not to demand, but to allow reality to crystallize into physical form. Feel the truth that you and your desire are inseparable, already woven together, already complete. When you rest in this awareness, something fundamental shifts. The struggle to make things happen fades away. You stop fighting with reality and begin to flow with it. You let go of the illusion of separation and move into unity. This is the essence understood by those who truly master quantum manifestation. The secret isn't about chasing something you lack, it's about awakening to what you already are. At the quantum level, all possibilities exist simultaneously. Everything you could ever want is already present. Your task is not creation, but selection. You choose which potential becomes your lived reality through your state of being. Every moment, your thoughts, emotions, and actions are making that selection. When your inner state aligns with your desire, when you think, feel, and behave as though it is already real, you choose the timeline where that reality exists. When your state reflects lack or fear, you're unconsciously choosing the timeline where it does not. This is why coherence matters so deeply. Coherence means every aspect of you is making the same choice. Your mind, your feelings, your words, and your actions all align toward the same reality. And when all parts of you are unified in that selection, the universe mirrors that choice without resistance. But incoherence tells a different story. Your thoughts might lean toward abundance while your emotions remain rooted in doubt. Your words may speak of possibility while your actions continue to express limitation. These mixed signals create quantum interference, producing conflicting vibrations that cancel each other out. This is the hidden reason so many people struggle with manifestation. It's not because the universe ignores them. It's because their own signals are fragmented, scattering their energy across competing timelines. They are, in effect, trying to collapse several realities at once, which only results in endless superposition and no clear outcome. The solution is both simple and profound. Bring yourself into coherence. Choose a single timeline and commit yourself fully to it. Don't divide your energy by keeping one foot anchored in the old reality while trying to step into the new. Make the decision completely, and then allow every thought you think, every feeling you hold, and every action you take to embody that choice. When you do something powerful happens. You stop scattering your energy across competing paths and step into coherence. From that state, manifestation ceases to feel like struggle. It becomes natural because you're no longer opposing yourself. You've stopped generating interference and instead you begin to operate as one unified field. And a unified field carries immense potential to shape reality. Stay with me because this is where everything begins to connect. It's the moment where simplicity reveals its hidden strength, where strength evolves into your natural way of being. If you notice closely, you may already sense it not merely as a mental concept, but as a physical shift. Your breath feels steadier. Your energy hums with quiet resonance. A subtle recognition whispers within you. Yes, this is the way. That feeling isn't random inspiration. It's vibrational alignment announcing itself. Quantum manifestation doesn't appear like lightning crashing from the sky. It speaks softly through harmony. It doesn't force itself. It reveals itself as remembrance. You didn't stumble upon these words by accident. Frequency drew you here, guiding you toward what your deeper self already knew. It is time. Time to release the belief that effort and struggle are prerequisites for receiving. Time to step away from the endless chase. Time to let go of forcing outcomes. And here is the truth that reshapes the entire process. What you've been calling manifestation is something far more profound. It's not a transactional exchange with the universe. It's the universe offering you the chance to remember your true nature. At the core of quantum reality, there is no separation. The observer and the observed, the dreamer and the dream. You and what you desire, they are not divided. What seems like separate pieces of reality are in fact expressions of one consciousness playing out through different forms. When this is understood, manifestation stops being about attaining something you don't yet have. It becomes about awakening to what already exists. This explains why children manifest with such ease. They haven't yet absorbed the belief in separation. They don't see themselves as apart from their desires. They live in unity where being and having merge seamlessly. Adults, on the other hand, are trained into separation thinking. We come to believe we must earn, strive, and negotiate with the universe. We treat manifestation like a contract. Do the right practices, hold the right thoughts, generate the right emotions, and perhaps the universe will deliver. But this is still the language of separation. True quantum manifestation begins when you recognize yourself as the universe localized into consciousness. Your desires are not requests to some external force. They are the universe flowing through you seeking to expand its infinite creativity. When you long for something, it is life itself longing to experience a new expression through your unique perspective. Seeing this changes everything. Rather than viewing your desires as problems to solve or distant goals to chase, begin to recognize them as invitations, doorways into new dimensions of your being. Instead of striving to extract something from the universe, allow yourself to see each desire as the universe longing to express itself through you. This is where the real magic unfolds. The moment you release the habit of trying to acquire and shift into the practice of allowing yourself to embody manifestation, begins to flow effortlessly. Why does this happen? Because you're no longer operating within the illusion of separation. You've stepped into the truth of unity, and in unity being and having are inseparable. This explains why those who manifest with ease often radiate calmness and trust. They are not straining to make anything occur. They are simply embodying the qualities of what they desire. They grasp that manifestation isn't about reshaping the external world to match an inner wish. It is about letting their desires reshape them into fuller expressions of their authentic essence. Yet, this is precisely where most people encounter resistance. The rational mind, bound by the ego, cannot fully comprehend unity. The ego thrives on maintaining the illusion of separateness, and therefore it resists any teaching that undermines its existence. This is why quantum manifestation can feel implausible to logic, because logic itself is rooted in separation consciousness. To move into unity consciousness, you must transcend the rational layer and step into what can be called quantum awareness, a state where you directly experience your inseparability from life itself. This awareness is not a theory or an abstract philosophy. It is a lived experience, a felt sense of oneness with the infinite field of possibility. Many people attempt to reach this state through meditation, which indeed can be supportive. But there exists an even simpler pathway presence. When you are fully present, not revisiting the past, not projecting into the future, not analyzing or strategizing, you naturally fall into quantum awareness. In this space, the illusion of separation gently dissolves, and what remains is pure consciousness aware of itself. Presence, then, is the highest form of manifestation practice. Not because it forces things to happen, but because it reveals what has always been happening beneath the noise. In presence, you awaken to the truth that your desires are already fulfilled on the quantum plane. They are simply awaiting your alignment in awareness. And that alignment does not demand effort. It requires recognition. Recognition that your deepest desires and your truest self are not two distinct realities. They are one. Your longing for love is in fact love remembering itself. Your yearning for abundance is abundance seeking its own reflection. Your call for peace is peace itself emerging into recognition. When this insight settles within you, manifestation loses its heaviness and becomes light, effortless. You no longer strive to become something you are not. Instead, you allow yourself to live as what you have always been. You do not chase after love. You realize you are love. You do not labor to manufacture abundance. You recognize abundance flowing through your very being. You do not search for peace outside yourself. You allow the peace within you to rise. This is the elegant simplicity of quantum manifestation. To embody what you desire is to manifest without effort, without technique, without struggle, simply as a natural unfolding of your true essence. You are part of a greater awakening unfolding across the planet right now. Humanity is beginning to remember the truth of unity consciousness, and each person who awakens makes it easier for others to remember as well. This is because consciousness is not an isolated experience, it is shared. It is collective. Every time you align with your true essence, you are not only shifting your personal reality, you are also contributing to the evolution of collective awareness. Your awakening ripples outward, becoming a gift to the entire field of human consciousness. The universe has never demanded more from you than this. What it asks is coherence, clarity, and the willingness to let things be simple. That is the final transformation, to stop overthinking manifestation and to embody it not as an occasional practice but as your baseline vibration, your natural way of being. And here is the deeper truth. This moment is not only about manifestation, it is about remembering who you are at the quantum level of reality. Physics itself now points to this extraordinary revelation at the foundation of existence. Everything is frequency. Everything is vibration. Everything is consciousness, expressing itself endlessly in different forms, which means you are not separate from the quantum field. You are the quantum field taking on the experience of being human. When you align with a desire, you are not appealing to something outside yourself. You are remembering that both you and your desire come from the same origin. The sense of distance between you and what you want has always been an illusion created by limited perception. This is why true manifestation feels effortless when it happens. There is no gap to close, no distance to cross, only alignment. Only recognition of what was always there. Let this become the truth you anchor into, allow it to be effortless. Say it aloud and let your entire system soften into its resonance. This is not avoidance. This is not bypassing reality. This is the intelligence of the quantum field itself. Nature shows us this truth every day. A tree grows without strain. A river flows without resistance. The universe expands without effort, always through harmony. And you are made of that same intelligence. You may have forgotten, but the remembering has already begun. If these words stir something within you, if they feel less like information and more like recognition, it may be because they are awakening a frequency inside you that has always been waiting. This is what I call quantum coherence, learning how to stabilize this vibration in the ordinary moments of daily life. Not by adding more techniques, but by living from embodied awareness. And if this message feels like homecoming, if you sense that this is not just content but resonance, then stay connected. Not only by subscribing to a channel, but by choosing to step fully into a movement of remembering. This is about building a community of individuals who are remembering how reality truly works. Those who are releasing the old paradigm of effort and struggle and stepping into the quantum paradigm of coherence and flow. And here's the truth. I want you to hold close, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not lacking anything. Everything you've ever longed for has already begun to move toward you. Not because you fought for it, but because you finally aligned with it. The more you soften into that alignment, the more quickly life reflects it back to you. You no longer need to chase, you simply align. And that single shift changes everything. The old version of you may have believed you had to become someone else in order to receive. But the quantum you knows the truth, you already are the one who has everything you need. The only thing left is to stop resisting that reality. So take a moment with me now. Breathe deeply in, exhale fully out. In this moment, there is nothing to control, nothing to prove, nothing to fight for. There is only being. If you feel inspired, write a single word in the comments, one word that embodies the energy you're choosing to live from today. That word becomes your quantum signature, your declaration to the field of who you are becoming. Perhaps revisit this practice tomorrow morning, letting it set the tone for your entire day. Or share it with someone you know who has been struggling with manifestation. Because when you share these principles of quantum consciousness, you don't just help them. You create an energetic ripple that strengthens your own alignment and accelerates the collective awakening we are all moving through. And if this message has resonated, if you felt the shift within you, then consider staying connected. Not simply to follow along with more words, but to remain aligned with this frequency. Because the more of us who embody this truth, the more the world will reflect it back in tangible ways. The fact that you're still here engaging in this conversation shows me that you're already in what I call the observer voice, the aspect of you that sees clearly how your inner dialogue shapes your outer reality. And that awareness, the recognition that consciousness creates perception, is the very foundation of everything we've been exploring together. It's also the gateway to the next step on your path into quantum understanding.